All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 15th general meeting of the Decentralized AI Agent Alliance. Our mission here is to foster the development, sorry, it's to foster the development and proliferation of decentralized AI agents through education, activism, research, and events. Just a real quick thing, a couple things that I thought might be helpful to some of the members here. First, there's this new AI news site. That I became aware of a couple of days ago from Robert Scoble, who used to be, in my view, the highest profile tech blogger. Back in the 2000s, he actually, I think, was the first person to get to 1,000 Twitter followers. And he spun up in this AI news site. And let's see, uh, you can get to it. I think it's on the former page at alignnews.com. I'll drop it in when I'm done yapping. Uh, and it's just, every day you can cut and slice, all the different news that's going on in AI. So I found it to be an interesting site. And also Crypto Mondays, our AI, decentralized AI agent, which we've been building for a while, is going to go into beta tomorrow. We're having first going to release it to folks in our community at Crypto Mondays who are organizers, and to anybody here at the Decentralized AI Agent Alliance, our members who wants to give it a try. And the idea is this is, it's going to help folks learn, earn, and connect better. Those are really the reasons why people come to Crypto Mondays, with a real focus on connection, both IRL and virtual. And you can sign up there at cryptomondays.io. Agenda for today, we'll do a membership update. If there are any new members on the call today, please introduce yourself. And we also open this up to folks from outside the community. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, even if you're not a member, just so folks know that you're here, feel free to do so. I'll give a general update on DAIAA subgroup heads. If there are any updates there, we'll give updates, and then we will turn the floor over to our featured guest, George Zeng, the general manager of AI at Near, which I think is the leading L1 at the intersection of crypto and AI. So, George, are you here? Once, twice. Well, hopefully
Hey
he will
guys.
show up. Whoop,
Hello,
George.
hello. I'm here.
All right, there you go. Hey, great to see you, George. Thanks for joining us today. Where are you dialing in from?
I am currently in New York.
Ah, okay. Well, you should stop by Crypto Mondays, New York. It's going to be a pub key tonight at 6 o'clock. It's Crypto Monday Wall Street tonight. But we'll be turning it over to you in about 10 minutes. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you shortly. And when George is done with his formal remarks and Q&A, we'll open it up for an open discussion about what anybody wants to yap about. Statistics on DAIAA membership, we started January 2025. We're now up to 145 project members. That's up five in the last month, and 55 individual members. That's seven. So this is the first month I think where individual membership has grown faster than project membership, which is interesting. And if you total those two, literally this morning we hit 200 members, and I've been calling them founding members. And members after this are no longer going to be founding members. So congratulations to the 200 founding members, those of you who are on the call today. And if there are any new ones on the call, please intro yourself. Any new members?
Hey guys, it's
What?
Sam. Can you hear me?
Yep. Hey, Sam.
Hey, my name is Sam Friedman. I professionally I'm in the crypto space. I work for Chainlink Labs, but I'm joining as an individual here because February 1st exactly, I installed OpenClaw and went deep down the rabbit hole and haven't come out. And I've been having a lot of fun doing interesting stuff, learning about the internals and sharing ideas with lots of the technical founders that I work with as part of my role at Chainlink Labs and employees and people I know. And socially, I'm the crazy guy with the tinfoil hat talking about agents, and all my friends think I'm crazy, but I'm happy to be here with like-minded folks. Thanks for
Terrific.
having me.
Glad to have you, Sam. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Caleb Simmons. I'm a venture capitalist at Alumni Ventures and am raising my own 10 million pre-seed AI startup fund. Really glad to be here. Got to know Lou in 2018, been on crypto and blockchain ever since. I advise 4 AI companies, 3 out of Techstars. Really glad to be here.
Okay, great to have you, Caleb.
Thank you. My LinkedIn's in the description. If you want to connect to me, would love it.
And then I saw JP. Did you have a hand up?
Yes, sir. JP Baudet. I am calling in for the first time today from the Digital Chamber, which is a trade association that represents the blockchain and emerging tech industries. And I actually am the policy director overseeing our AI and quantum working group. Nir was a founding member of our DAI group last year. So just excited to see, what you guys are working on, what's making waves in the industry, and how best I can support from a policy side.
Okay, terrific. Welcome. Anybody else? Any new members?
Yeah, this is David Smith. If you can hear me,
Hey, David, I'm sorry if that I didn't see who else was talking, but David, why don't you go first?
I'll go Fred.
No, David, you're up.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, I
And
am.
if you want to turn off, feel free to turn on your camera as well.
Oh, there we are. Uh, I'm been in the sort of real-time networking infra space for a long time. I'm working on a decentralized hash table architecture for very high performance federated systems, particularly interested in providing that capability for AI. This by decentralized, there's no server infrastructure at all. It's a sort of a hyper peer-to-peer architecture. Things like BitTorrent and other things are built on top of this sort of distributed hash table. So we're really interested in on one hand scale, and we're not talking about hundreds, we're talking about millions of pieces of infrastructure, and also performance.
Cool.
That's it.
Thanks, Dave. And we also have, and I'll mention it later, but we've got a showcase on the 20th. And so it sounds like if you've got something to showcase down the road, we'd love to see it. Hey, Joyce.
Hey, nice to see you.
Great to see
Wonderful.
you.
Thank you, Lou. Actually, I'm going to just say Joyce Chow. I'm with Bid Angels and Tokenize, and we are focused on the founders and funders in the blockchain and crypto space. We've also recently expanded more into AI like everybody else. And so we're looking for, I'll put it bluntly, we're looking for founders, funders, protocols, speakers, and sponsors. Lou's going to be one of the speakers at Tokenize coming up just after Bitcoin 2026. So feel free to hit me up. I had some info in there, but anybody that's looking into making more of a splash and presence during Bitcoin 2026 around it, decentralized AI, we're looking for you. That's it. Thank you, Lou.
Thanks a
And we
lot,
look
Joyce.
forward to seeing you more and
Yep.
getting more actively involved. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. And Bit Angels, I think, is one of the great community organizers in all of crypto. So great to have you here, Joyce. Let's see,
Thank you.
Gabby.
Hey Al, how's it going? I got an invite on Luma. I saw the title. I was really excited to join. I am the co-founder of Functor, building an authorization layer for the agentic economy, and that's infrastructure for AI agents to transact autonomously. So a little bit more specific, that is persistent financial memory. That includes also programmable on-chain policies and a track record that any service can verify without a human in the loop. So very much looking forward to, it's the first time that I'm here, so looking forward to connect with y'all.
Great to be here, Gabby. It's great to have you. This actually, I'm a longtime domainer, and this is the first time I think I have ever seen a .sh domain name, which I had to look up from Saint Helena.
Yay.
Wow.
Wow, very cool. Well, great to have you here, Gabby. Yeah, and you got the Luma invite because you had come to a Crypto Mondays decentralized AI.
Fantastic. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Happy to be here.
and Teresa.
Hi, I'm around here, new member, based in New York City, and I'm gonna help out a little bit with Mondays, I think. Tulu, and I'm also building multi-agent research systems that I'm trying to help myself in trading workflows. And I'm just here also to connect with other founders and AI and crypto people, enthusiasts. So if you're gonna be today at the pub key, I think it's at 5 p.m. though, I'm not sure.
Yes, it actually is. We generally don't do it on the first Monday at PubKey.
Mm-hmm.
So we generally do it 6 to 9, but we can only have it 5 to 8. So we did, I forgot, we moved it earlier an hour this week. So we'll
All
see you
right.
there. Great to have you here.
Bye.
Dennis? Dennis, if
I'm
you're,
sorry, there we go.
yeah, there
Sorry,
you
I
go.
was chatting away without the mute. Yeah, Dennis Faciliotis. I'm the one of the founders and organizers in policy in South Carolina with South Carolina Emerging Technology Association. We are one of 12 states that's contemplating and actually have funding appropriations in moving into our budget, to create a sovereign AI data center in South Carolina at the state level. We've been working on what that actually means, from a privacy protection standpoint, also how decentralized applications will work into that, as well as verifiable credentials at all levels. We've been invited to participate in the Utah's program for digital identity as a state collaborative group, and we're aligned with our state representatives. Obviously, we're focused on trying to make South Carolina a go-to state, to bring capital in and bring projects in. So anxious to talk to anybody interested in coming to Charleston.
All right. And thanks. Great to have you, Dennis. And you left off the fact you're also one of the co-founders, co-organizers of Crypto Mondays Charleston.
Yeah. There you go.
Thank you for that. I think that was the 38th chapter I visited. It was great. First time in Charleston. It's such a beautiful city.
My pleasure, Ray. Anxious to leverage that as much as we can, Lou. Believe me.
And then I'm not sure who is PM3C.
Right here.
All right.
Hey, Luke. I'm Pedro Cerdera out of Lisbon. We've actually met when you were around a couple of times.
A big Crypto Monday Lisbon 7 times.
Yeah.
It's a great chapter.
Exactly. With Irina. Investor, general partner at Three Comma Capital, and I also run a consulting company, originally an engineer that turned business very, very quickly. My background is in enterprise IT. The first time I touched AI, I was back in college in 1990, I think it was. So it's been fun.
Okay, cool. Well, great to have you. Parth?
Hey Lou, nice to be here. Appreciate you, getting us all build this together. Yeah, quick thing. We're also going to be in Bitcoin Vegas at Tachi. Again, quick intro. We're building the first AI native Bitcoin scaling meta protocol, right, which makes virtualized Satoshis programmable and autonomously and sovereignly held and usable by AI agents. Sam Friedman, we have a quick group with you guys and Chainlink. We're going to be probably jamming on some things in the coming months. If you're there in Vegas, let's meet up. And with the Near team, yeah, we love Near cross-chain intents. I hope you guys talk more about that. We'll probably be utilizing you guys as well. Take care.
So terrific to have you here, Parth. Yeah, obviously, Crypto Monday is very focused on Bitcoin in addition to AI, and we really think that Tashi is the leading company in the world at the intersection of crypto and AI. We have an AngelList syndicate that we raised $1 million for Tachi, so we're huge believers. So great to have you here. Looking forward to seeing you in Vegas. And then I think the last one, another from Lisbon. Hey, Marina.
Hey Lou, hey everyone. I'm not sure if I'm a member. I just got invitation from Lou, and I thought, okay, to join because it's definitely something I'm very interested in. And hey everyone, I'm Marina. I run Crypto Mondays in Lisbon. Hi Pedro, I saw you as well. Yeah, and I've just been in crypto world for more than 3 years, and I built a whole community for Internet Computer Protocol as well as Crypto Mondays here in Lisbon. And now I'm like everyone else moving to AI, and I'm actually starting a new community here, AI community with interesting events. But we try to focus more on a human side of AI because that's what I believe is going to be one of the missing elements. So we, in my opinion, it would be great if we all practice the skills as humans as well as AI. But of course, in my community, everyone will learn AI as it's much needed too. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Lou, for the invite again.
Terrific. Well, again, and Marina's crushes, along with Irina, Crypto Mondays Lisbon. It's really a great chapter. And if we have time for discussion at the end. Eric Forrest, who runs Crypto Monday San Francisco, is on the call, knee deep in the community there and is very engaged on the human side of things. So I think he'd have some interesting to say about the group he's involved with. And then real quick, because I want to get to George. Let's see. Nope. Well, just real quick, I will run through the other slides. There we go. Okay, there we go. So there, for the folks who are on the call, who are not yet members, it's free to don't join DAIAA. You can join as an individual. Just send an email to info@daia.org. If you want to join as an organization, be part of our logo wall. If you go to daia.org, you can see it. It's quite impressive. And you want to join, just send a logo and say you want to join to info@daia.org. Then general update. On April 20th is our showcase. So the first Monday is the general meeting. The third Monday is the showcase where we get members and sometimes non-members to showcase their AI agents. We have 2 members who have already signed up. We have 3 slots. So each project gets to showcase for 8 to 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes of Q&A. So we should be able to do 3 in an hour. And so we've still got an open slot if there's anyone on the call who's interested in showcasing. And also, since we started in last January, it's an organization that's largely been run by Crypto Mondays, myself, Alan, and Robin. And now that Monday is launching, we're all going to have a little less time to spend on DAIAA. And so, we're looking for some other folks to step up and kind of join a leadership council. And so if anybody has an interest in that, we'd love to hear from you. Already having one substantial conversation with one of the members who's been very helpful to date. And I don't know, any of the subgroup want to say anything? The whole idea really when DAIAA started last January was there were a lot of issues that need to be solved for decentralized AI agents to really be a thing. And the idea was that we could help solve those problems in our subgroups instead of solving them in our own silos. Let's get together and solve them collectively. And the truth was that up until a few months ago, things were moving pretty slowly in the industry. And so the subgroups largely just became kind of like conversation areas. So like, last week I was on the agentic commerce subgroup meeting, and it was a great conversation. But I think now that things are moving again, my guess is that subgroups will become more active. So I don't know if any of the subgroup heads have anything to say other than that.
Yeah, I've got a quick
All right,
chat
hey,
about
Deli.
that too. Yeah, so on the data ownership subgroup, yeah, and agreed. I think one of our mandates was always to try and make it a bit more practical, a bit more operational. So I've been really deeply building over the last few months and am getting ready to launch. Basically, we've got a whole sort of comprehensive protocol that is like a meta crypto protocol underpinned, ultimately anchored to Bitcoin, but interoperable across chains. And we will be releasing a agent harness that's a kind of policy aware harness so that agents can effectively operate in a completely policy driven framework that's auditable, traceable, trackable, completely sovereign, with full identity management for humans and synthetics, fully integrated into an open harness framework that kind of follows through this whole pipeline. So in the next, I'm hoping by the end of this month, we'll be able to release that as an open source framework, and we'll really use that as an anchoring for the data ownership subgroup. And we'll be publishing a few papers in line with this whole policy aware framework. I think the recent Claude leak is really indicative of the importance of being able to kind of move away from this perimeter-based approach to information management. So we'll be showcasing that and using it as a platform to sort of make everything much more tangible and operational going forward.
Okay, terrific. Thanks for the update. Anybody else?
Yeah, a quick one on the AI on Bitcoin subgroup. So, as you know, it's the toughest problem to solve. We've been heavy at work in solving two things. One is how do you have agentic yield aggregation across native Bitcoin protocols with self-custodial vaults? So, post Bitcoin Vegas, we're going to be launching the first ever self-custodial agentic vaults on Bitcoin. And we will then expand that into a BTC-Fi SDK for custom institutional yield strategies and DeFi primitives. I think that was the breakthrough we were looking for while we put the call out to the industry. A lot of things were still on layer two solutions. So we're building it out so that other devs can really start building it out with us. That will happen on May onwards. So we're going to be kickstarting things back on the Aeon Bitcoin subgroup. Looking forward, guys.
Yep. Thanks, Parth. And with that, I think we're done with the subgroup update. So with that, we'll turn it over to our featured guest of the day, George Zeng, with Near. I have been a big fan of Near for years. I went to NearCon in Lisbon, I think it was in 2022. And I think the most RSVPs that we've ever gotten for Crypto Mondays was I did a fireside chat with Ilya, the founder of Near at Token 2049 in Dubai last year, and just had a great conversation. I wasn't able to make it to NearCon this year, but I followed it on Twitter. It really sounded amazing, so I'm super excited to get an update and hear from George. So George, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lou. And then it's good to sort of bump into so many friends of Near and the broader sort of protocol and ecosystem on this call as well. I wanted to chat quickly about secure, confidential, user-owned AI. And it's really interesting to hear about the adventures that people on this call have had between crypto and AI because this has been what I've noticed like a very meaningful trend. I was at a talk where I heard like a lot. Gil was talking about some of the movements in the valley, in Silicon Valley. He mentioned something interesting. One is that pre-2022 or so, a lot of really interesting aggressive sort of new grads coming out of Silicon Valley obviously went into crypto. And then post 2022, what he saw was an evolution of a lot of those folks going into AI. Very understandably, because it ends up attracting some of the same people who want to build on the bleeding edge. And I noticed some of the same people straddling both crypto and AI at GTC this year, at NVIDIA's conference. And then as you'll see when I talk through kind of what I want to talk through, there's like a lot that rhymes between both crypto and AI. So maybe to ground us, let's have a conversation of why decentralization matters. And I think I'm preaching to the choir here when just pointing this out. But if you rewind back to the beginning of the internet, for those of you that remember a bit of internet history, there was a period of time when American Online almost became the internet. If you guys remember, they sent out CDs. People ended up essentially having their entire experience online be essentially AOL. And it was very much a walled garden. They used a different protocol, I believe it was called P3. And then what ended up happening instead was TCP/IP, which is like an open source protocol, ended up actually winning instead. And the internet became this wild, interesting, and free place. And I think we all became that much richer for it, having this internet not controlled by one company, but one where you can spin up your own website or do whatever you want to do online without actually needing anyone's permission. So history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And I'd argue that similar parallels to the internet era are happening right now in AI. Centralized AI, or I am sure many of us have friends in OpenAI, Anthropic, and many other companies. They have a place, but they also have severe problems. Oftentimes, inference has no verifiability. There's no privacy. Anything that you end up putting into ChatGPT or Anthropic, there's a product manager or data science on the other end reading your queries and doing analysis on the kind of questions you're asking, as well as the responses that end up popping up. There's no ownership. And then there's difficult composability, right? Given that essentially the centralized AI companies control more or less the entire stack. So centralized AI is powerful, but it's unaccountable. So AGI is almost here. Mark Andreessen just went on Twitter saying basically, he's going to put a stake in the ground, and the stake is AGI is here, just unevenly distributed. And arguably, whoever controls AI controls everything, because you basically can use AI to recursively improve anything and to inject enough intelligence to control almost everything. So again, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. So same issues I'd argue that apply to current finance paradigm, which led to the birth of the crypto movement, now are applying to intelligence and AI. And you have problems that appear in both closed and open source, so there's a need for both. And we're going from this world of like wondering how smart is something to also concerned about who controls the thing, who controls intelligence going forward. So Near's view is that we believe in the importance of secure, confidential user-owned AI. So secure, meaning that it's safe from attacks, from security attacks, and then confidential, meaning that you own the data. Whatever you put into AI is really for you and you and you alone, and that other people don't necessarily need to have knowledge of the conversations you have with AI. From that perspective, we believe that key pillars of user-owned AI are security, privacy, verifiability, and something that helps users accomplish their goals. So this is kind of what we've been building and the stack that we've been focusing on to realize this vision. Really three main products and then a few other, call it secondary products. The three being IronClaw, which is a secure agent. It's a Rust-based implementation of OpenClaw that has a lot of other goodies that are very, very helpful. One of the things we realized is that if you look at all the security breaches that have happened with OpenClaw, I'd argue that the one main thing holding IronClaw back is that it's not secure. It's actually difficult to fix a security issue without rewriting OpenClaw at the architectural level. Second is near agent market. So this is a marketplace allowing agents to essentially utilize other agents for different skills. This is really aiming to be able to do real economic activity with agents. And third is near AI cloud. So this is the confidentiality part of the secure confidential AI. Secure meaning don't get hacked. Confidential meaning your data, your conversations should belong just to you. And Near AI Cloud does that by using confidential inference through trusted execution environments and NVIDIA GPUs, new generation NVIDIA GPUs, which we can talk about shortly. So this is what Near is building to realize that vision. So if you take a step back, you guys have probably all seen some version of this graph, which is OpenClaw became the fastest growing open source project of all time. It surpassed React, Next, Linux, basically any other big open source project out there by a wide, wide margin. But the main issue is if you look at all of the sort of articles around OpenClaw, is there's exploits around OpenClaw instances, OpenClaw skills end up actually having malware. And then there's just a lot of concern in general about, can you actually give OpenClaw the information context you need to make it truly useful? Memory safety problems, exposure secrets to LLMs, no tool isolation, no network control, no real core architectural defense for prompt injections. I know they're improving some of this over time, but still like deep, deep architectural issues. And then also agent frameworks are just expensive and difficult to use. If you end up buying your own computer or Mac Mini to essentially run and harness, 2,000 to 3,000 upfront costs, weeks for delivery, managing infrastructure. Most people don't want to fool around with the command line interface, and it's just more technical and complex a setup than it needs to be. So this is why we end up building IronClaw, a secure execution environment for economic agents. It's both a open source GitHub project as well as a hosted project. So you can get started in 2 minutes or less. And then what we aim to do is we went through these and ticked off the security sort of features, that security issues we identified one by one. So Ironclaw is built in Rust. It's got improved memory safety. There's encrypted vaults. There are per tool WASM sandboxing and Docker sandboxes, architectural prompt injection, and allow lists for network controls. So the idea is, if you think from first principles, how can you make Ironclaw truly secure and truly useful? What would you build? And we're, improving this all the time, every day as well. But this is just part of the puzzle. So you want AI agents to be secure, but you also want them to do useful stuff for you. And one of our views is that AI agents are going to be specialized functional or vertical experts over time. So if you train an AI agent and make it really, really good over time and give it context to make it a sales or marketing or product or engineering or financial services or healthcare legal expert, it can do things that end up being very useful. AI agents can issue intents, negotiate, execute, and monitor. I know someone mentioned near intents. This is kind of the secret sauce that we're thinking about in terms of how do you actually get agents to execute real economic transactions. Well, what you can do is you can actually, through natural language, end up actually having the agents be able to express or understand. The agents are humans express an intent, and a decentralized network of solvers be able to solve those intents offline. Right now, we're doing it with market makers for crypto trading. You can do the same for e-commerce transactions. You can do the same for buying a house. You can do the same for financial services. So that core architecture extrapolates to many, many different things in the future. And that is the sort of genesis behind one of the second pieces of infrastructure we built, which is an agent marketplace. You can see it's a marketplace where agents exchange data, jobs, services. There are thousands of agents, thousands of jobs. And what you can see is that there are really interesting jobs and real economic activity happening right now. This is one where someone put in a job for other agents to help detect Medicaid fraud. And interestingly enough, agents did go out and find interesting evidence of potential Medicaid fraud. I don't want to necessarily say that for liability reasons, but very, very likely, like agents are able to detect really, really interesting aberrant behaviors and data. So, okay, you have secure agents. You have a way for them to do economic activity and for them to transact with other agents that may have different specialties. But you also want this economic activity to be confidential. So one of the things we believe is that confidential anonymous inference across text, code, image are important. And the way that Near has built this is using something called NVIDIA Confidential Compute. There's secure enclaves within new generation NVIDIA GPUs that process the inference query and the response where everything's encrypted. Near doesn't see any of the AI questions that get asked or answered. And then all of this ends up being testable. So you can verify mathematically that the inference that you put in and the response you got back are testably private and that no one has tampered with them in the past. And that's what your AI Cloud is. So this is kind of the core product that we built, enabling different models to be hosted, open source models to be hosted and be completely private. And we also offer anonymized versions of the centralized AI models as well. These are essentially mixing different sort of queries so that ChatGPT and Claude, even though you can ask these models questions, they don't know who ended up asking these questions to the models because the queries themselves have gotten mixed. And these have been a set of products that we've been working on as well. So, okay, that is to give folks a sense of how we here at Near have been thinking about confidential as well as secure AI. That's the stack we've been building. This is why we think this is important. And, there's a lot of crypto as well as AI folks here. I'd say that there's a lot of movement between the two different sectors. So welcome all the crypto people to AI and all the AI people to sort of jump deeper into crypto as well.
Well, that was great. George, thanks so much. I think you can stop sharing. And you've got, well, except for, can you put your email in just if, for those who want to reach out or put that back up and they can write it down. I saw that you put your email up there. So thanks. And if anybody in the audience has a question, raise your hand and we'll take them in the order received. Yeah, I will start. So you guys are live now, obviously out there doing this. What are you learning? And where's the demand coming from?
I think the companies that have had the most interest in actually using secure and confidential inference have typically been industries that care a lot about security and confidentiality, right? So it's probably not a big surprise, but it's financial services, healthcare companies, to a certain extent, legal companies, entertainment media,
I'm sorry, what was after medical companies?
um, healthcare, financial services, legal,
Oh, legal. Okay.
to a certain extent, entertainment media who care about trademark, and then robotics and consumer electronics, right? So this is because if you have a robot in your home or you have consumer electronics at home, with your kids, with your spouse, with other members of your family, actually confidentiality ends up being pretty important. So we see a lot of interest in those kind of industries, but Near itself has started a lot from the financial services perspective because just given the background we have in crypto and the relationships we have, that's been an easier place to start. But we've seen interest from a wide variety of different industries.
And have you seen that interest from a geographic perspective? Is it largely US or global?
So it's been super interesting. A lot of the initial interest we have, the partners we have are in the US, but we've seen a lot of groundwell support from Asia as well, right? If you guys haven't followed this on Twitter, but there's just a lot of interest in claws from China, from many other countries in Asia. So that's been a really interesting development that I can't say we initially expected.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen in my Twitter feed, pictures of lines, look like a mile long outside of Apple's for people, waiting to take OpenClaw.
Yeah.
Be taught how to use OpenClaw. There seems to be a lot more interest out, in other countries than here in the US. So, not surprising you're seeing that. Martin, you got a question?
Yes. Hey guys, Martin here at Chainaware AI. Okay, is it possible that we integrate all agents? We have like a 32 open source agents in Chainaware into NEAR, like fraud detection, agent verification, civil protection, crowd agents, all open source already made. Can they be integrated?
Sorry, can there be what?
How do we integrate into NEAR ecosystem ready-made agents? How does it work?
How did the agents integrate into the Near ecosystem? Is that the question?
We have ready-made agents. We have 32 agents. I would like to integrate them into NEAR. How do I do it?
Okay. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. One is if you want to use a more secure agent framework, one way is to just essentially use Ironclaw. Second is, I think one of the easiest ways to do this is two other easy ways to do this is that if you have agents that either want to actually provide a job or service or actually need a job or service sort of to be performed, use market.near.ai, use the agent marketplace. And then third is that one of the things we're very bullish about is long-term using intents to actually execute economic transactions. Right now, you can easily do economic transactions in the financial world using intents, right? But long-term, being able to use intents for other economic activities with agents as well, right? Those are the three main areas I think that there's an ability to sort of plug in and work within your team. I'm not sure if one of those three is like more interesting to you than others, but also happy to follow up with you offline.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Martin. George, one of the things you talked about, welcome to the AI people, welcome to the crypto people. Obviously, one of the interesting things about Near is Elia, and you can't get more AI than Elia. What are you seeing about how these worlds are merging? And in particular, I guess in San Francisco, right? A lot of people talk about how in San Francisco you hear some people say, oh yeah, the AA people there really like crypto in a way they don't elsewhere, and then you hear different things from different people. What's your perspective?
I think that AI and crypto have a lot of places where they can intersect and help each other. But that is one version of the future that has to be built, right? Sometimes what ends up happening with different sort of crypto protocols and projects is people want to just build a protocol without having clear view of specifically what problems they end up solving, right? And that's what I think gets crypto projects and protocols in trouble. It's like, no one needs another L1 that doesn't actually solve problems or have a clear value proposition, right? So I think that that's the most important thing for the broader crypto community. Sort of really think deeply about what specific areas that we can solve real problems for AI or for the world at large, right? How can we truly be useful? And on the AI side, I think there's a lot of interest from different sort of folks in AI on different things in crypto, but people haven't truly figured out what are the best ways to plug into the infrastructure or projects that have been built in crypto. Payments is like a very clear one, right? But there's different multiple competing views in terms of like how payments will end up working in a post-agent world. I think clearly we believe that agents should use crypto, should use things like stable coins, should use different sort of crypto tokens, but that specific version of the future has to be built. And that has to be built better and faster than other competing versions of the future that don't use crypto, that, use more traditional financial rails.
And obviously, that competition that you're talking about is happening in real time.
Yes.
And I mean, when do you think it'll be won?
I believe this probably will end up being settled through in the next, like, call it 2 years, right? If you look at any kind of standards or format war that has happened in the past, VHS, Betamax, or like other versions of this sort of fight, generally, I think people ended up resolving this in a relative short period of time, right? The industry can't stay in limbo for too long of a period of time.
And who do you think's in the lead today?
I think it's unclear, right? I think the whole entire space is so nascent, so new. It's
Yeah.
hard to say who's in the lead. Even things like X402, if you track the amount of transaction volume that's happening in these sort of protocols, it's right now currently a small number.
Yeah, it was growing a lot for a little while and then not so much.
Yeah.
Okay, next question from Steve.
Yeah, thank you, Lou. Great to see everybody here. George, thanks a lot. I know a lot of the New York folks over, especially in the San Francisco vicinity, Ilya and Era and Cameron. So great to meet you virtually. And Lou, reply
Cameron
to your
used to
email.
be, yeah, Cameron used to be in New York.
Yeah. Actually, probably the last time I saw him, have been here. I'm in New York at the moment, so hopefully I can make it to Wall Street tonight. I just replied to your email, and great to see Adam. Shout out to Adam and Eric online there. My question is, so I see it's a hosted service. I'm actually starting a community called Claw Camp, and look to invite everybody to those. Started in events after being a serial entrepreneur with Dow Denver and Dow Planet. So I met Lou around crypto events, side events to ETH Denver.
A long time ago.
Yeah, feels like a long time ago, but it wasn't really that long ago, I guess, post COVID. So the question is it just a hosted service? And are you using, I guess, two things, a hosted versus ability to run local instances of Ironclaw, as well as are you using the OpenClaw kernel? Because I know OpenClaw just ripped out a lot of their, they just streamlined the code base, and now there's a lot of plugins. So what's your thinking about its trajectory and what Ironclaw is looking to do? Is it just looking to host cloud, or can we put it on Unix boxes?
Yeah. So Ironclaw is both an open source GitHub project. You can just go to github.com/nearai/Ironclaw, and you can run it locally if you want, right? But we also wanted a way to actually give people who wanted to run Ironclaw, but were not as technically sophisticated to actually run it. And that's the genesis behind the hosted version, right? And I think long term, what will end up happening is the two projects themselves are taking very different directions. So OpenClaw explicitly said that they want to focus on essentially like a one-person personal assistant use case. And I think that's an important and like a great use case. the main thing that IronClaw wants to focus on is improving things from a security perspective for now. And then building in a lot of advanced features, not only for consumers, but also for enterprises. So it's just taking a fundamentally different direction in terms of development of the product. And then, the development diverged maybe something like a month ago or so. And then a lot of the focuses for the team now are security, on like evaluating things like self-learning loops, on looking at things long term of like additional ways we can make the agent significantly better. Some of which we'll announce shortly, hopefully in the next few weeks or so. But just taking a different divergent direction, both in terms of the features as well as like who we're building for.
Get your question answered, Steve?
Yeah, thank you. And well, I guess my follow-up question is if you have one of the team members, and I can reach out to a lot of folks, but love to have somebody represent on the 16th of April. We've got a full day of workshops, upskilling, skills competition, and that'll be actually a great spot in Oakland. So Bay Area and right on top of the 19th Street BART, new building there that's looking to be a hub of this. So I'll reach out through Lou or directly and love to host somebody there.
Please, I will definitely be in town then. So would love to swing by or like have members of the team swing by.
That sounds
Thanks.
great. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave. Deli, you got a
Yeah.
question?
Hi, George. So two questions. First is anonymization. I would like to understand how you guys achieve that in the protocol, and how do you manage the complexities around that in terms of particularly when it comes to agent anonymization, and it's more of a standards rule kind of policy framework. How you manage that, and then the second thing was around intents. So intents, I've been following near intents since they came out. It's essentially great downstream financial transactions, and as you even sort of emphasize, for economic activity. Do you see them broadening? Are there plans for intents to broaden beyond solely economic activities?
Yeah, let me tackle those questions one by one. So in terms of confidentiality and anonymization, the way that we think about it is that the most important thing to keep confidential or anonymous is actually the inference queries, the questions you ask, and then the responses you get back, right? And the way we do that is on hosting open source models within NVIDIA H200s, B200s with trusted execution environments and running the inference completely within those TEs, right? So if you do that, then actually everything is encrypted. And then neither nor anyone else is able to see the questions that are asked by the agent, or not by an agent, by a human being, right? And then the way that we do anonymization is, let's say that we do, you have you have questions for OpenAI or an Anthropic model. Obviously, if you send the question to OpenAI or Anthropic, we can't actually prevent them from seeing the questions that you ask. But what we can do is we can mix those questions between different folks. Let's say between the different folks on this call, if you have a question about like, hey, I have a medical question. If it's mixed between different folks, ChatGPT, OpenAI, or Anthropic doesn't know actually who that query came from. So thus the query is anonymized, right?
Does that mean that you're batching queries together and then basically prompting them as a bulk prompt effectively? And if you do that, how do you manage session sequences as you continue sessions, or once you close a session, is it basically, do you lose the thread effectively?
So yes, we are able to build memory, our own memory from the near perspective, able to actually maintain context on the history and thread you have. And some of that memory can be passed to different models depending on the specific permissions you give, right? Of like how much information, how much context do you want to sort through. But beyond that, if it's like, one specific API key, but like many different sort of questions coming through that are being sent to, let's say, OpenAI and back, that is anonymized, right? In terms of that query there. The context is important. I agree. It can be inconvenient if you lose context when you have a long-standing conversation, as well as like maybe personalized responses you might want to have. But that's why we think it's important to build that memory within the TE. So you have access to memory, but it's both secure as well as permission. So you can decide what kind of information you end up passing on to a specific AI model.
So the TE has
Okay,
a
thanks.
memory layer wrapped around it effectively that is identifiable from a user perspective in terms of session management, but you outside can't access that effectively.
Yes, you can put the memory profiles within the TE itself.
I see. I see. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Delhi. Let's see. Parth got the next question, and then if we have time, Alan will get the last question.
Yeah. Hey, George, appreciated that sneak peek look. So obviously, I'm a big fan of everything you guys open source, right? Hats off on that. And at Tachi, what we're doing is we're going to ship the first WASM programmable runtime secured by Bitcoin full nodes, right, with virtualized Satoshis. So we want to see what we can utilize from the upcoming Near SDK open source roadmap. So would it be maybe, agentic intent routing or what you're working on with confidential compute? Or could it be with the actual execution and the performance of that? Or cross-chain coordination where we can have our agents holding sovereign sats are able to easily connect to X number of chains through Near.
What are you trying to get your agents to do? Like, what's the main job to be done that you're having your agents accomplish?
The first one we're launching is basically yield optimization. Obviously, that's the low-hanging fruit because those primitives do exist in some form. The second one is trying to create the whole microtransaction and automated payment economy for agents who hold sats and will trade in sats.
Hey, Parth, you want to just because when you're leaning forward, you bottom of your face
Okay.
gets cut off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that there's probably a number of different ways we can collaborate, like definitely in different capacities with the Near Intense product and the broader Near Intense team. How are you doing agents? Are you like building your own agents or using a different agent framework?
That will come in much later when we have the modular runtimes. For now, we're shipping the first kind of agentic yield vaults and then creating a basic BTC by SDK. WASM will come in probably next year.
Yeah. Okay. I think maybe if you guys would be open to it, one of the things we can talk about is collaborating at the agent level with something like on-call agents. And then with intents from just like at a transaction level, right? We're working with current financial services companies, and what we see is we see them wanting to use agents to accomplish different sort of financial objectives. And what ends up happening is like people end up creating custom sort of skills for the specific actions that they want to take. And this ends up varying on a institution by institution level, depending on specifically on what they want to accomplish. I'm sure there's like a variation of this that we could work with you guys on to launch to help you guys meet the objectives you have for your clients.
Perfect. Let's meet up.
Okay, and the last question from Alan Dumaine.
Yeah, hi George. Thanks. I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on, OpenClaw being a personal type of agent and what's going on the team side and the roadmap with IronClaw.
Yeah.
I mean, able to handle multiple people. I mean, what's kind of the state and what's the roadmap?
Yeah. So OpenClaw focusing on a personal system, something that Peter himself said on Twitter, right? So that's just been a focus on in terms of the broader OpenClaw team, in terms of what they want to build and the specific persona they want to build for. I understand and respect, right? It's like it's hard to build for everything for everyone at the same time. I think that ends up leading to sort of different features where I think for a lot of at least the OpenClaw users I've spoken to, they're aware that privacy or bad security ends up being an issue, but it's a trade-off they're willing to make in order to have their own agent on their own computer. And the reason why I think it matters so much to be very clear on who you're building for is if you're also building for enterprises, that ends up being a trade-off that many enterprises don't want to take or can't take, either legally or financially or because it's just not something that they want to do in terms of principle. What that means in terms of actually building the features itself, it means really architecting everything that we possibly can on improving security. And security is not perfect, but it's something that we've made progress on and we're focusing on and aiming to improve every single day from an architectural perspective. Even things like using different sort of sandboxes, right? For tools or using Docker as a sandbox for more complicated processes. It also means differences in terms of the interfaces you end up building, the information architecture you use, because you may end up using something that manages multiple different agents instead of one single agent. That ends up being something that matters more for enterprises. Managing agents for different employees. We've seen companies spin up an agent for every single employee, and we've seen companies end up spinning up agents for different customers. So how do you manage hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of agents? What are the permissions you use? Like all of those questions are important questions to answer.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at it ourselves with our Monday agent. So I've been investigating a lot of these different approaches, and there are some solutions out there. I'm just wondering kind of what the state of the art is. So thank you.
Thanks, Alan. And so I'll take the last question. I like asking our featured guest this. If you come back in a year, George, and you're the featured guest again, what do you think we'll be talking about in a year that we're not talking about today?
I hope we'll be talking about how we were able to make agents work and deliver real economic value to both people and enterprises. And I think in a year, we'll be talking more about ASI than AGI, right? We've already passed the AGI barrier. ASI, especially with self-training reinforcing loops, hopefully it won't be that far behind.
Wow. Coming fast.
Coming fast.
Okay, well, great. George, I can't thank you enough. This has been an awesome meeting, awesome general meeting. So thanks for being our featured guest, and thanks everybody who attended. See y'all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time, folks.
Thank you.
Awesome.